Lollipops are my new magical invention. You are listening at FameTV.info. Your POV. I was looking down from the terrace inside the bookshop, amazed by the number of people lining up just for the famous Lockhart's books and autograph when I saw Harry Potter and his friends go inside. It's Harry. I whispered to the boy at my side, pointing at the boy with the lightning scar visibly showing up on his forehead. Harry looked up. He probably heard me saying his name. He waved a hand and gave a small smile. I simply waved back at him, not smiling. Not that I wasn't being friendly, but I just didn't want to exert energy on smiling and looking like an approachable person. There's no problem with conserving energy for more productive things. Draco looked at the said boy, jealously glaring at him when he was called to the front to take a picture with Lockhart for the Daily Prophet. Then he turned to look at me with an annoyed face. "Don't call him Harry, call him Potter," he said irritatedly. I raised a brow at him. What's wrong with calling someone by their first name? Why not? I asked, leaning on the railings and resting my head on my palm. Because I'm the only one who you can call by first name. I stared at him blankly. I don't know why calling people by their first names is such a big deal to him. Don't be stupid, Draco. I can call anyone by their first names if I want to. He scoffed, frowning at me and walking his way down the stairs as I followed suit before him. Oh, just do it, he stated, grabbing a book randomly and turning to look at me. I shook my head, crossing my arms and staring at him. I don't see a reason why I should. He sighed frustratedly. Because I said so, that's the reason. I tilted my head, not buying it. Although I didn't want to, I agreed anyway. Okay. His mouth slightly twitched upwards as he opened the book and glanced at me. When Potter and his friends walked their way out of the shop, Draco hurriedly ripped a page out of the book he was holding and put it in his pocket, running to Potter. I sighed, following him down as he blocked Potter's way. Here we go again with him and Potter. Bet you loved that, didn't you, Potter? Draco spat, towering over Potter as Potter only glared back at him. Famous Harry Potter, can't even go into a bookshop without making the front page. A small red-headed girl took a step forward and glared openly at Draco as she hissed, "Leave him alone." I could tell she was trying hard to keep herself calm as her temper was rising. Her body was shaking because of it. I was about to go in front of Draco to defend him, but then I thought about it. It'll only waste time since I'm pretty sure nothing will come out of this argument. It will also just give me problems like having this red-headed girl as another annoying girl who would dislike me. Draco looked amused by the girl's sudden appearance but covered it with his signature smirk. "Oh look, Potter. You've got yourself a girlfriend," he said, glancing at me with both his brows raised and his mouth smiling. I didn't really get what he was hinting, so I just rolled my eyes and crossed my arms. That was when a silver, snake head landed on Draco's right shoulder as a deep male voice spoke up, Now. Draco, ______, play nicely," he scolded. Surprised, I jumped as I turned around, seeing Draco's father looking at us. I bowed slightly. My father have always told me to show respect for the Malfoys, telling me that they're really important people, especially when it comes to the Death Eaters topic. I respected them, but not Draco. He's sometimes a pain in the arse, but Mrs. Malfoy told me to watch over him. But not because I respected them. In which I'm forced to anyway. Doesn't mean I'm in favor for being a Death Eater myself. I would never be. No need to do that, _______. We're a family, Mr. Malfoy said reassuringly. I nodded nervously, backing away with Draco. If you could call someone you're afraid of a family. Mr. Malfoy's eyes then averted to Harry's direction. Mr. Potter, he acknowledged, giving a half-hearted smile to the said boy. Lucius Malfoy, he introduced himself as he reached out his hand for a hand-shake. Harry slowly took out his hand and hesitantly shook Mr. Malfoy's stretched out hand. I feel bad for Potter, but what currently is happening doesn't really concern me. No longer interested in the conversation, I took out a strawberry-flavored lollipop from my pocket and opened it. Draco nudged me by my side, glaring at the lollipop I have in hand. "What are you doing?" he shouted in a whispery tone so only I could hear. "Eating a lollipop, as usual," I answered bluntly, popping the lollipop inside my mouth. "You can't do that here." I raised a brow at him, still eating the lollipop. Wanting to speak, I put the lollipop out of my mouth. "Why not? You've allowed me to eat lollipops since long ago, hadn't you? Since we were kids, Draco have hated Muggle-related things, so when I introduced the Muggle candy called lollipop, which is delicious by the way." He went to an outburst and almost told Mr. Malfoy about it. Fortunately and unfortunately, he hadn't told Mr. Malfoy about it but often used it to threaten me. He sighed in frustration and rubbed his face with his palm. Yes, I had, but he hadn't. Draco pointed at his father secretively. "Trust me, I know what I'm doing," I stated reassuringly. He grunted in response and stomped his foot, glaring at me. "Fine then," he said, "but I won't help you if father gets mad at you for eating Muggle candy." I shrugged my shoulders, turning back towards Harry and the others who have seemed to be joined by Hermione and Mr. Weasley. Fine by me. The conversation between Mr. Malfoy and Mr. Weasley looked serious. Mr. Malfoy was glaring openly at Mr. Weasley while Mr. Weasley was both glaring at him and half-heartedly smiling to the children to lighten the atmosphere. "We have a very different idea about what disgraces the name of wizard, Malfoy," was what seems to be a comment of Mr. Weasley from what Mr. Malfoy had told him. "Clearly," replied Mr. Malfoy. "Associating with Muggles." He looked at each of them with a deadly look, then turning to me and Draco. "Draco, ____________, let's go. What are you eating, ____________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Hermione stuck her head to the side to look at what I was eating and her eyes widened when she saw it was a lollipop. She knew well that Mr. Malfoy wouldn't be too happy to know that I'm bringing Muggle food in the wizarding world, let alone eat it. I gave her a simple glance and looked fully at Draco's father, taking out the lollipop from my mouth. I could practically feel Draco's shaking arms as he nudged me yet again. I ignored this and explained to Mr. Malfoy, this candy is called a lollipop. I paused to determine if he knows what a lollipop really is by his reaction, and thank Merlin he doesn't. His brows were furrowed and his face was showing utter confusion. I took a deep breath, crossing my finger and hoping he doesn't see through my lie. "It's my new magical invention." He obviously looked unconvinced as his brows frowned at the not really magical-looking candy. Hermione coughed loudly and Harry choked on his own saliva. "Would you like to try some?" I offered to Mr. Malfoy. He raised a brow at me as I sucked a breath. Why did I say that? But thankfully, he shook his head and said, "Never mind." Draco and I let out a non-audible relieved sigh as Mr. Malfoy turned away from us. Now that Mr. Malfoy probably already believes me and won't be questioning me about this Muggle candy, I can eat it even with them around. Mr. Malfoy rashly turned to Mr. Weasley and growled, "See you at work," then turned to leave. Draco, with a smug look, stopped in front the Potter boy. "See you at school," he said, turning around and only getting a glare in return. Draco was slowly walking his way to his father, waiting for me to catch up, but I didn't follow them right away. I walked to the trio, Hermione Granger, Harry Potter, and Ronald Weasley. They all looked at me with confused faces as I gave them each a lollipop. They know. Except for Weasley. That lollipops aren't really my invention, and one wrong roll of their tongue, I'll be in big trouble. I needed to make sure they won't be telling anyone about it. "Don't tell Mr. Malfoy it isn't really my invention," I whispered, mockingly winking at them and getting an unsure "okay" from Hermione with the other two nodding, Ron looking confusedly at the lollipop and Harry just staring at me. I waved at them and spun around, walking hurriedly to where Draco and his father is. Thankfully, Draco was a few feet away from his father, so I went to his side. He showed me an unbelieving look and hissed. "Your new magical invention. Really?" He mocked, sarcasm dripping from his voice. I rolled my eyes at him. I knew I was going to get in trouble if Mr. Malfoy didn't take my false proclamation, and I'm pretty sure he'll tell my parents about it and encourage them to lock me up in a room with not a door and a window and never let me see the sunlight ever in my whole life again. But that's just an underestimation of what they might do. But hey, at least my plan worked. It did me good. I replied calmly, sticking in the already small lollipop in my mouth. "Look, I can already eat it without any problem in front of your parents. Maybe even in front you know who. Well, if he ever comes back anyway." He walked faster to catch up with his father, me having a hard time catching up because of the place being crowded. Draco sighed and slowed down his pace to let me easily walk by him. "Hurry up, will you?" he demanded. I glared at him with a huff. "Well, if you were that impatient, I don't think you should have slowed down for me in the first place." His eyes twitched as he looked at me, his face was slightly going red. "Excuse me, I wasn't slowing down for you," he snarled, making his pace faster again so that this time, I really wouldn't be able to catch up. What a gentleman. If he just helped me, then this would have been faster and easier for the both of us. Eventually, we finally stopped in front of Gringotts. "We'll leave you here, Mr. Malfoy informed me. Your parents are inside." I nodded, looking at the door of the huge building. "Maybe I should just wait here outside. Me and Draco will be going now, goodbye." Draco turned to me and gave a small wave with his signature smirk. "See you at platform 9 March 4th. I simply rolled my eyes at him and turned around facing the entrance of Gringotts, waving my right hand with my other hand in my pocket. Yeah. Whatever," I replied. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.